Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here, Mr. Sorokin. So for the third time now, as a portfolio company of GGF. Yes, this morning we had a press announcement, so we did our first acquisition this morning in Norway. We signed a purchase agreement for two Norwegian companies last week. One is in the maritime business, and the other one is in oil and gas engineering business. So it's a big milestone for the company. So from a cornerstone point of view, these companies are probably going to make 20 million revenues this year with 15% profit margins versus the organic business of OTI, which is probably doing 1 to 1.5 million revenues this year and still working on putting their products into the market for changing processes in the oil and gas and chemical industry. And some of you have quite some experience in the oil and gas and chemical industry, and you know probably how keen these industries are to change processes or standards. It takes a long time. So who we are and what's the difference of OTI? So we developed a core set of chemicals, of products, which have shown some extraordinary results in the past in cleaning, separation, and recycling of oil and oil residues. The last 12 months, our biggest milestones which we achieved is, again, we were awarded by the German Cleantech Institute, DCTI, for a Cleantech driver in waste solutions, backed by the IMO approval, the International Maritime Organization, where we started to sell our products in early 2012 for the first time and got certified. We become best-in-class provider of environmental friendly solutions for the treatment of tanker residues and cleaning. For methanol tanker, we really changed the standards in the industry already. It wasn't possible at that time that tanker operators were able to change cargoes when they want to ship methanol later on, because methanol is such a sensible product which gets contaminated right away. We changed that, and on top of that, we reduced 30% of the cleaning cycles for the shipping operating companies and increased the security and safety on board because our products are all non-toxic and biodegradable. In April 2014, as we saw that the marine business becomes more and more important, also driven by the fact that there's a high competition in that industry right now. Freight rates are going down, so cost and time is a very essential point. We completed a joint venture with Uniservice. Uniservice is the fourth largest independent distributor to the marine industry in terms of marine chemicals and safety worldwide. With that joint venture, 50% between OTI and Uniservice, we got access to 900 ports worldwide. One of the major things for us is to get access to the people and get the distribution going in light of large competitors in these markets. We opened branches in Calgary and Houston, where a lot of our energy and oil treatment business is focused in, and I'll give you more details about that later on. We completed a total of 4.8 million equity and debt financing, convertible debt, and we signed the purchase agreement for the acquisition of two Norwegian companies. So basically our business model is based in two main segments: environmental solutions, which includes storage, marine tanks, chemical tanker cleaning, but also industrial maintenance and equipment cleaning, and separation and cleaning of drilling muds. As you probably know, there's millions of tons of waste streams coming out of the oil and chemical industry every day. To separate and recycle some of these components is one of our biggest challenges. Energy solutions, it's about unconventional oil processing. We started about 2 years ago where we headed to Canada with 180 billion barrels. Canada has one of the largest oil reservoirs and oil sands. And Canada is producing 1.6 million barrels per day, but out of 1 ton of oil sand, you only get 1 barrel of oil. So there's still 940 kilograms or 840 kilograms of waste still contaminated with oil residues. To reduce the risk classification of that waste and increase more oil production on one hand, but clean these waste streams to a lower level is one of the biggest challenges the Canadian government is facing right now. So last year there was the first $100 million penalty to the industry because they weren't able to meet certain targets. So we're in promising attempts right now with Shell in Canada to find a solution based on our patented technology to be an additive to that process. That's the wrong direction. So the market drivers for OTI clearly is we have our own IP, patented, environmental friendly technology, and in many areas we clearly see, based on the result, we have seen game-changing technology potential. That's our team. Here you also can see our new COO, John Kiselis, who has been going from Nalco, one of the leading oil chemicals and water treatment companies in the world, coming to our camp and tremendously helping us on the business development side in the US and Canada. Here again, that business also, local expertise and local knowledge is very important. Just a selection of the products we are offering and the projects we're working on. Maersk and Waterfront. Waterfront is the shipping arm of Methanex, the world's largest methanol company. They're our biggest customer right now on the tanker side. An example of the oil sands in Canada and the separation of drilling muds, where you can see the phase differentiation after the treatment of our products. And talking about Russia, we've been in discussions and had our first meetings with Tatneft through the help of Green Gateway Fund last year in February, March. Since then, we have worked on various products. And as you can see, we were able to compare our products to the existing product lines Tatneft is using for enhanced oil recovery and separation of oil. And you see that the EcoSolute 14, the red line, shows by far the strongest effect on interfacial tension reduction, which is necessary to separate and get these oils differentiated from the rest. So Kasper mentioned it already. So we're in good progress to get the first tenders going in Russia, and our CTO will be there shortly again for continuous R&D work over there. So we think it's a very promising market for us. And of course, EUR, looking beyond Russia, of course, is one of the biggest businesses right now in Canada and the US. So a good reference here will also help us to develop new customers in other parts of the world. That's a little summary on the Uniservice OTI joint venture, which we formed 24/7 basis, serving global clients at over 900 ports worldwide. The partners of that joint venture already have access to 230 existing shipping clients, which was one of the major drivers for us to enter into that joint venture. That's an overview of the current market presence with distribution agreements in place. Brandtech, or the largest chemical distributor worldwide, is producing our products, as well as we can use their presence in more than 70 countries worldwide in terms of distribution of our products. And one of the biggest areas we also have to look at is Asia, of course, but for us it's more important to get the key markets, Europe, including East Europe and North America, going for the time being, and then expand the business. That's a brief overview of the acquisition we completed last week, of the press release this morning. So we signed a purchase agreement on 51% of the company called Visionary Energy SA in Norway. And we have secured a call option on the remaining 49% of the business. The company owns two operating companies, BTT Maritime and Rada Engineering, employs about 100 people with probably turnover this year of around 20 million euros and EBIT margin of 1.5 to 2 million this year. Especially where we see the biggest synergies in the short term is the maritime business. VTT Maritime is doing inspections, certifications, and cleaning of offshore rigs, offshore vessels. Norwegian shipping industry clearly is one of the leading industries in the world. And Norway also, and Scandinavia as a whole, is looking very much for quality and environmental standards. So we think we have a very good chance to put our products in place. That's the structure in the future. So we have the joint venture, 50-50% with Uniservice and Visionary Energy. In Q1 next year, we are about to close to 100% ownership. That's the forecast, the business plan numbers for the next coming years based on the business and the consolidation of Uniservice Global, which we can start consolidating from next year on, and as well as Visionary Energy. So you can see strong increases for next year. About 50% of the 20 million forecasted for next year's sales within Visionary Energy is within Rada Engineering, which is already kind of 12 months forward-looking business. So that's already kind of pretty secured cash flows we have in hand. On the other hand, we expect that the energy solution part in Canada and the US, and also in Russia on the EOR side, will generate the first significant revenues on the energy solution side. So next year will be a very important year and interesting year for us. So summary and outlook. So we have shown that we have developed products which changed results, which have game-changing potential. What we were lacking on the last 12 months was getting it into the market. And we were underestimating the fact that companies like Shell and other major oil companies are taking much longer time cycles. Give you an example on Shell, for example. They said, we like the new products you have developed for tailing treatments, these waste stream treatments. So the next available slot for a field trial is in November 2016. And that was about 2 months ago. So that's something we have to work on to get better access and faster access into the industry. The R&D programs with AITF and Shell are in progress. First line of EOR products are about to be completed, and we're looking forward to get the first tender, participate in the first tenders. We also expect the closing with Norwegian companies will take place early December, and then the remaining 49% acquisition in Q1 next year. So path for growth is set next year. Thank you very much for your attention.
Are you selling hectoliters of EcoSolute, or are you selling a per-ship solution including product and labor? And if there is a labor component, do you have internal labor, or are you using third parties?
At this point in time, it's the tons per ship or per ship operator we sell. One of the biggest points we found is that with just providing a chemical or a product, you are in the commodity business. In many cases, the industry is looking also for complete technical solutions. That's why we think also with the acquisition and about 80 engineers we also get in our employmentship, we can also get into the next stage in providing more sophisticated solutions to the industry.
What are the actual forecasted revenues for this year?
About 16 million.
16.
Of which, I mean, based on the nine-month numbers we have in place, they have already realized about 14.5 million. Their biggest, or one of the biggest orders they had in place were booked just in September, project for the Royal Scandinavian Navy.
Could you add to that what your backlog is for next year? How much of next year's revenue is pre-sold?
So on the shipping side, we can pretty much, rely on the recurring business we have with Maersk and Waterfront right now, with 6 other large shipping companies right now trialing our products. So that's probably like 1.5 to 2 million baseline. On radar engineering, that's 12 months rolling forecast projects right now. So that's about 40 million for next year. VTT is more project-related work. One of their biggest projects they're doing right now is the Rockfast project, which is the largest tunnel underneath 2 fjords in Norway. And there's more projects on the way. The Norwegian government has dedicated 600 billion for the next 10 years to have the whole west coast of Norway being connected with one kind of highway. And there's about 50 more tunnels to go. VTT has showed that they have changed the technology by subsea engineering. So that's been completed in the next 2 months, and we are very much looking forward that there's, that project works as a reference for further projects going down. So right now, of the 20 million we forecast next year, we have about 15 million we can rely on.
Stephan, the enhanced oil recovery, EOR, I mean, it's a massive potential. But of course, each field is different and requires its own kind of customized solution. So, but you've made great progress with Tatneft. So kind of the question is, assuming that goes forward, when do you think you might see a commercial scale deployment in the EOR industry?
So it always starts with the first customer. We saw it in the shipping industry as well. So let's say if we're able to get to win one of the tenders which are in the market, and we got good indications that, one of the main reasons, of course, was pricing of the product. But we are in line now with the expectations, and we are competitive now. So if that starts next year, and is supporting the kind of results we have shown in the lab right now in the field, then the large-scale commercial should kick in 2016. I think next year is more like have the first tenders established, have local people on the ground to do some kind of tailor-made solutions in these areas. And then really have the first kind of large-scale applications going on in 2016. The big advantage, of course, is that with the results we have achieved right now, and also then next year based on the field trial, we can, of course, take that and duplicate that in other markets where we're already in advanced discussions with other players in Canada, like with Shell or others. So.
And the technical data you showed, it showed that the EcoSolute was performing significantly better than the competition. That's a fair. It's not like you're in the mix. There's a significant improvement in IFT reduction.
Absolutely.
So if the cost is the same, that technical improvement should give you a very good shot at winning the tender, presumably.
Well, at the end of the day, it will probably lead to 5, 10, 15, 20% higher production rates.
Yeah. Which means a massive amount of yield dollar-wise. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Thank you very much, Stephan.